Welcome back, guys, to the CFB Rundown. Repping the Terps jersey today because college basketball has snuck up on me and probably all of you guys watching. Because college basketball just does that, and I honestly forgot it started today. The Terps currently beating Coppin State like 50-20.
I've never heard of
I
that
didn't.
college.
Yeah, Coppin State, Coppin State. But let's get right into it. It's November 2nd. Oh, wow, November 3rd, 2025. And it's November, and that's really all I need to say. November is when you start to really know who you think will be in the CFP. And you can kind of lock in those picks, which honestly, you can't do. You can do that in the Big Ten and the SEC, but you cannot do that in the ACC or the Big 12. But November's a crazy month, and we saw that yesterday because Texas beat Vanderbilt 34-31, and Texas is in the playoff race. That's all I really need to say. And Vanderbilt has their second loss, and that's in the conference too.
Yeah.
But what's huge is that Texas has only one conference loss. So Texas could get, well, honestly, I would say if Texas got another loss, they would make it to the CFP. And that is, you could say that's a hot take, but knowing the commissioner, or not the commissioners, the voter, or whatever, whoever makes the freaking bracket, here's just a hypothetical scenario. My Louisville Cardinals, my hometown currently, if they get one more loss, say they lose to SMU, they are a 10-2 team. They do not make the ACC championship. And if Texas got another loss at 9-3, I think Texas would be beat out of Louisville. So that's basically just telling you how confident I am that Texas can make the CFP. Now, the rest of their schedule, I'll go through it real quick. The rest of their schedule, they're fifth in the SEC.
I think
insane.
they play Georgia and A&M to finish the year.
They play Georgia,
games.
Arkansas. Arkansas is not an easy game. I mean, it is, but it isn't. Actually, is Taylor Green out? I forgot. He got injured.
I don't know, but if Taylor Green,
I think something happened to me. If Taylor Green is out, then Arkansas, yeah. But Texas A&M, dude, that Texas A&M game is gonna be massive.
Yeah, that's a huge
7:30 start time. That's a night game. Yeah. Yeah. They play Georgia, so yeah. Honestly, they have a tough path. I did not know that they played those teams. But let's talk about this game. Texas had 250 yards receiving after the catch. That's actually stupid. Ryan Wingo broke out the gate. Second play of the game, scored like a 75-yard touchdown. Arch Manning, 25 for 33, 325 yards, and 3 passing touchdowns. Quinshon Wisner had 18 carries for 75 yards and a touchdown. And Ryan Wingo, 2 receptions for 89 yards and 1 touchdown. But he was injured after 2 snaps. So that honestly makes no sense. 2 receptions, 89 yards and a touchdown, and he was injured. That's kind of crazy. And I was paying very closely attention to the game, paying close attention to the game in like the first quarter, and then whenever Texas was winning like 10-0, I was like, Vanderbilt ain't stopping them, and Diego Pavia is not doing much. So yeah, after that I was like, I feel like Texas is gonna blow them out, and then I was right. They were up 34-10, I think.
I think so.
34-10. And then Vanderbilt comes back, scores 21 straight points, but does not recover the onside kick that fell through their hands. Diego Pavia, oh my gosh, he passed for over 200 yards in an SEC game. First time this year. 365 yards, 3 touchdowns, 14 carries and 43 yards and 1 touchdown. All of those stats came in the second half whenever they were coming back. And that's why this Vanderbilt team did not win. They started too late. You got to play 4 quarters, and they did not play 4 quarters. Eli Stowers did have a pretty big game, 7 receptions for 115 yards and 2 touchdowns. That tight end is a pretty big dog. But here is the stat that told the story for me. Oh, yep. You already had this up. I did not read the stat that told the story, but the stat that did tell the story was Cedric Alexander had 5 carries for 11 yards on rushing, and the entire Vanderbilt running back room had 15 rushing yards. What? I'm sorry for you guys on the mic. That probably sounded loud. 15 rushing yards. Genuinely, how is that even possible? Jeff Sims had like 45 times that in one game. But genuinely, how does that even happen? You got to run the ball. And that helps with your time of possession because running the ball is it just creates a slower pace. And the only person who actually ran the ball was their quarterback. That's not going to win you the game. But all in all, great win by Texas. And they're back in the race. But I think they lose to Texas A&M and Georgia currently. Honestly, that Texas A&M game, it is at Texas. I don't know. That's a tough one. But I think they lose to Georgia. This team is trending upward, but they could be trending very far downward. But props to Arch Manning. I mean, 3 weeks ago, people were ready to freaking... I don't even know. People were ready for him to not... People were ready for him to just be benched, honestly. I don't know if that's what people were thinking, but with his stats, you could have made an argument for him to be benched. But he came through. And what I don't want happening is the people who had Arch Manning to have a great year, and then in the middle of the year, they're like, Arch Manning is going to have a bad year. For those people to now say, I knew Arch Manning was going to have a good year all along. If you were on that train in the middle of the season, you did not think that Arch Manning would do this. I didn't think that. No one thought this. But it's college football. That's really all I got to say. Quinn, what do you got?
Yeah, first I just want to shout out Arch Manning. He was questionable coming into this game with the concussion for the most part coming into this game. They thought Matthew Caldwell was going to get the start, but turns out Arch Manning was able to play, and he stacked his second good performance in a row. He struggled early, and some of his criticism was valid, but he's dealt with adversity. He's heard the criticism, and he stacked 2 great games in a row. His stat line, 25 for 33, 328 yards, and 3 touchdowns against Vanderbilt's defense that has been pretty solid. So we made a podcast last week, and it didn't get posted due to some uploading failures. But basically, we expressed, JT and I, we both kind of said that Diego Pavia was a little bit overrated.
Trash. Absolutely trash.
He hasn't passed for 200 yards in an SEC game, and that was until today. He certainly was not the reason that Vanderbilt lost. 27 for 38, 365 yards, and 3 touchdowns, and got some work on the ground too. Stat that told the story, JT mentioned it, 15 yards by running backs. Sorry, voice crack, but 15 yards by running backs, not what you want. And I get you were down the entire game, and you had to pass the ball primarily. Diego Pavia threw 38 passes. And if you're down, you're going to have to throw the ball a lot. But that doesn't excuse 15 yards from running backs. You should get a little bit more.
No.
And if you really think about it, how good has this run game really even been all season? Because Cedric Alexander, MK Young, they've had decent stats, but primarily almost every game they break one loose for a 60 or 70 or 80-yard touchdown run. And other than that, they really don't do much. You think about last game against Missouri, MK Young had an 80-yard touchdown. Against Alabama, Cedric Alexander had a 70-yard touchdown. They didn't really do much other than that. And they're just relying on explosives to kind of pad the stats. And those are great plays. I'm not discrediting them. But just if you have a team like Texas who has an exceptional run defense that just stops the explosive runs, the run game and these running backs kind of got exposed a little bit. But shout out Diego Pavia. He was not the reason they lost. Ryan Wingo, they found a spark in him. He had I think he had a $175 receiving yards last game against Mississippi State. He was on pace to do that again, and then he got injured after his second snap of the game. And he was still the leading receiver, had that big touchdown on one of the first plays of the game. So, honestly, the thing that Arch Manning's been missing is a wide receiver one. They Ewers had that with Golden, and Matthew Golden's gone. He's in the NFL. They were struggled to find that spark, whether it was going to be Ryan Wingo or DeAndre Moore or Parker Livingstone, but they found it in Ryan Wingo. He's played very well. So I think maybe there's a 9-3 Texas team that gets in, but I just don't think that's going to happen. I think if either team loses, their playoff chances are pretty much done. Texas plays Georgia.
There'll be an Alabama situation.
Yeah. Texas plays Georgia and A&M. Those two are going to be tough, and then Vandy plays Tennessee to end the year. So if you're Vanderbilt, you didn't have to win this game, but this was a big one that you'd want to win. And then Texas, you had to win this one. They were a desperate team, and they showed out. Yes, Vanderbilt almost came back. They were so close to recovering that onside kick, but ultimately Texas, they won the game, and that's all that matters. So great win for them.
Next one. This was ultimate upset week. Miami, SMU. SMU wins 26-20, and real quick, as a Louisville fan, that was like an amazing thing to see because it just gave Louisville some insurance. But SMU, after losing to Wake Forest, oh my gosh. After losing to Wake Forest, they have bounced back. And Miami just suffered their second loss in the ACC and are sitting at 6-2. And they're going to need a ton of help to get back to the ACC championship and make a CFP. I would currently, with the way Virginia, Georgia Tech, Louisville, and SMU look, I would be shocked if Miami wins or makes it to the ACC championship. Currently, I would say they're out. Like, with the way that you got to be in the ACC, like having only one loss, they got a shot at making the CFP. But if they're a 10-2 team, that's one of those scenarios just like last year where you're like, are they going to be an 11 seed, a 12 seed, maybe a 10 seed? They would not be anything higher than a 10 seed if they're 10-2, just because of they did lose to pretty good teams, but you can't have two losses, and that's just how it's going to be in the ACC. And Miami had 12 penalties. Carson Beck threw a pick on the 5-yard line in overtime. That was bad. And Miami could not do well whenever they got in the SMU territory. But that was huge in that last play. Miami should have won this game. They were winning, and then Miami kicked a last-minute field goal Miami's winning, then SMU kicked a last-minute field goal that they probably should not have been able to kick because I think it was on like a roughing the passer or something that got them 15 yards. And then, Carson Beck, 26 for 38, 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 picks. And their receivers did great, but that's just, their running backs, they did all right too. And they just didn't get the job done. And there's not much to say about this team. Kevin Jennings kind of popped off, 29 for 44, 365 yards, and a touchdown. Jordan Hudson, what the heck,
I know,
bro? That's the receiver's name?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. 11 receptions for 135 yards. Big game for him. Ramilo Brinson, 3 receptions for 70 yards. Big game from him, too, on the deep passes. And the running backs didn't do amazing, but they got the job done, and that's what you need to do in the ACC. Big win for SMU. They're back alive in the title race. I think they have 3 losses, but only 1 conference loss. So, Quinn, what do you got?
This might have just knocked Miami out. Honestly, they're in pretty much the same situation where in last year, where amazing start. People thought you were one of the best teams in the country, and then you just choked in November and lost to teams you probably shouldn't have lost to. Louisville's a good team, but I just think this team, I believe, is a college football playoff team. They have an offensive line. They have the defensive line. They have Malachi Toney. They have a great secondary. They just something about them in this Mario Cristobal team, they just lose games that they're not supposed to. I think I don't know the exact record, but I'm pretty sure it's something bad. Mario Cristobal as double-digit favorites. Not good. I think he has like 6 wins or something, 6-16. I think that's just memory. I don't know if that's true. And this was kind of a heartbreaker. Miami, they should have won this game. If you looked at the box score, you would have probably thought that Miami won. And ultimately, the only reason they lost is because they couldn't really do anything once they crossed the 50-yard line and got into SMU territory. And then that pick in overtime on the 5-yard line, that was huge. And I just want to shout out SMU, their quarterback Kevin Jennings. He's been kind of a roller coaster all season, but this was the high. In a game where they couldn't really run the ball too much, he played outstanding. 29 for 44, 365, and 1 touchdown. And Jordan Hudson, the wide receiver, not Bill Belichick's girlfriend, had a great game. 11 receptions for 136 yards, showed out. And just ultimately, Miami didn't execute the big plays. And in upsets, this is kind of the common thing. Just the favored team didn't execute, and SMU did. And that's exactly what happened. Miami, they're going to need a lot of help because you have Virginia, who's undefeated in conference. They have to lose at least 2. Then we'll see about tiebreakers. You have Louisville and SMU, who have 1 loss and beat you in head-to-head. So either one of them or both of them are going to have to lose 2. And then Georgia Tech is going to have to lose another 1, and then we'll see about tiebreakers. So a very difficult path. I think if they're 10-2 and miss the ACC title game, and that's what I think they're going to do, I don't think they make the college football playoff. So just sucks for Miami fans. I think you have a playoff team.
Same thing as last year.
Yeah, I think you have a playoff team. I think Miami has a playoff team. They just don't have the resume to back that up.
Yeah, the ACC is kind of insane right now. Let's go NC State versus Georgia Tech. Another pretty big upset. I mean, SMU wasn't a big upset. People kind of saw it coming. Some people saw this game coming. NC State wins 48-36, a massive game. And I don't need to go through a lot of this game. The reason that Georgia Tech lost is because of their defense. Haynes King cannot play defense and offense at the same time. He had a great game. 25 for 35, 400 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, a pick, 20 carries, 100 rushing yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. He's insane. And they should not have lost this game. Well, because they did not lose this game because of their offense. It was because of their defense. And at the end of the day, if your defense can't get the job done, then you're not going to win the game, because defense ultimately does win you championships. Well, I guess in the long run, if you just have a good offense, but whoa, if your offense is going to be able to produce like that, you're going to have to be the better offense, because if like both teams' defenses aren't doing that good, and it's just going to be an offensive battle, you have to be the better offense. It's like, screw the defense, got to be the better offense. And I just read you that stat of what Haynes King had. NC State did not do that bad. CJ Bailey went 24 for 32, 350 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jaden Scott, 24 carries, 200 rushing yards, a touchdown, and 11 missed tackles forced. Teddy Hoffman, 3 receptions, 74 yards, and a touchdown. So they went pretty much the same, but at the end of the day, Haynes King had an interception, and that was a big play. And yeah, that's all I got for this one. Not much to say, but this broke the window for the ACC. Dude, it's insane,
I know.
the amount of stuff. Because I think Virginia is going to lose at least 1.
Mm-hmm.
They could lose 2. Now, who does Pitt play? Please tell me that they play Virginia, bro.
I don't know. I don't.
Okay, they don't. Virginia Cavaliers football. Virginia plays Duke. That will be a big game. Wake Forest, Duke, and Virginia Tech. I don't know. We'll see. Virginia should not be ranked 12. And yeah, but the ACC is wild. Me and Quinn might just make a video maybe tomorrow or Wednesday on just tiebreakers and chaos in the ACC and the Big 12.
Yeah.
Because I think that would be a necessary video, or maybe in the next segment we just have an entire segment on that. But yeah, Quinn, what do you got?
So Georgia Tech, they've been playing in a lot of close games, and their defense, more specifically their run defense, has kind of gotten away with not being so great, and that's kind of gone under the radar, and that got exposed completely. Hollywood Smothers, NC State's best offensive player, one of the best running backs in the country, was out this game. And that didn't matter. Jaden Scott played just like him. 24 carries, 196, and 1 touchdown. 11 missed tackles forced. And ultimately, like JT said, Georgia Tech's defense lost them the game. They let NC State score near 50 on this team. 583, almost 600 total yards. You can't do that. And I just want to shout out Haynes King. He played outstanding. He carried this team on his back, and he was so close to almost winning this game by himself. He did have a pick, but he was 25 for 35, 400 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. And not just that, he had 20 carries for 103 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. He almost led Georgia Tech to victory, but you can't expect for Haynes King to do this every game, which he's shown that he can, but ultimately your defense has to play better. And honestly, I don't have much to say other than your defense has to play better. CJ Bailey, he's one of the more uprising young quarterbacks. He has a lot of potential. He had a great game himself. And just Georgia Tech, everything's right in front of them. Win out, and they're still in the playoff. But some stuff, especially on the defensive side of the ball, just has to improve. So that's really all I have to say.
Yeah. Freaking Cardinals game starts in 30 minutes, Quinn. We got to go quick. West Virginia beat Houston. Upset. That's how this weekend went. 45-35. And Houston just suffered their second conference loss, and they're going to need a lot of help to make that Big 12 championship. Houston fans, you guys were all high. That sounded really weird. You guys were Houston fans, you guys were all like up there after you guys beat ASU. Not anymore. West Virginia had a very clean game, and they only had 2 plays that lost yardage, 0 turnovers, 0 sacks allowed, 0 fumbles, and 0 receiver drops, and 4 on 4 on fourth down. 4 out of 4 on fourth down. That's just like a perfect game. West Virginia box score, Scotty Fox Jr., 30 for 22, 160 yards and a touchdown. How the heck did they score 45? What the frick? I did not watch any of this game. That sounds really weird whenever you have a college football show. I did not watch any of this football game. But, yeah, I guess rushing yards, they kind of dominated. Sincere Bowers had 9 carries for 65 yards and 1 touchdown. Dior Hubbard had 29 carries, 108 yards, and a touchdown. Now, this is interesting because there's like 5 teams alive in the Big 12 race. Houston's going to need a lot of help. And as an ASU fan, dude, I've said I'm a Louisville fan. I'm wearing a Maryland jersey, and I just said I'm an ASU fan. For new people, they're like, what the heck? How's this kid an ASU fan? It's a long story. Go watch our first episode if you're confused. But, yeah. They rushed really well, but ASU and Houston both need a lot of help if they even want a chance at making the Big 12 championship. And they're going to need some losses. At this point, if you're a Houston fan or if you're an ASU fan, I brought ASU into the mix because they're kind of in the same boat as Houston. Houston just beat them. If you're an ASU fan, you are ASU or Houston fan, you are currently wanting BYU to absolutely smother Texas Tech this week. And then you're going to want Texas Tech to beat Cincinnati next week. And then you're going to want Utah and Cincinnati to each get another loss. Very confusing. But ASU and Houston both have this one little thing. Houston beat ASU, but Houston lost to Texas Tech. So ASU needs Houston to get another loss, but Houston needs Texas Tech to get two more losses.
Mm-hmm.
Out of both of those, I feel like ASU has a better shot of getting in because Texas Tech could very well lose this weekend, and if that happens, ASU is automatically above Texas Tech, and Cincinnati and Utah could very well lose one more game. Cincinnati needs to lose two more, but Cincinnati lose two more, and who does Cincinnati play?
They
Because
play
that
BYU eventually.
oh my gosh, there's a chance, bro. They play U of A. There's a shot there.
I think they play TCU or Baylor.
Oh my gosh.
No,
Quinn,
they already played Baylor.
there's actually a shot for ASU, bro.
Yeah, I know.
Like, it's actually not that hard for ASU to make it now that I think about it. Because I think BYU might be Texas Tech. Sorry, this has just got so out of... I just went to the most massive rabbit hole ever. But West Virginia got the dub, and Houston needs a lot of help. Not much more to say about that one. Quinn, what do you got?
Yeah, I don't have
My
a ton.
computer's at 2%.
Oh,
We got to go
okay.
quick.
I don't have a ton to say on this. Just mainly, West Virginia played a clean game. This was the statement win for Rich Rodriguez in his first year at West Virginia back. They had 2 plays that lost yardage, 0 turnovers, 0 sacks, 0 fumbles, 0 receiver drops, and went 4 for 4 on 4th down. And that's what's going to win you the game. I think this is their 4th quarterback, Scotty Fox Jr. They're down to like their 3rd or 4th or 5th running back. It doesn't seem to matter. Just they want to run the football. They had three ball carriers above 60 yards. And the reason they scored 45, I didn't put this in the notes, but they had a bunch of guys that had like 1 reception for 3 yards, but it was a touchdown. I didn't put this in the notes, so that's kind of why. And ultimately, Houston didn't play bad. I guess defensively they did, but offensively, Connor Wegman had a good game. Amari Thomas had a good game. And just, I don't really have much to say. It was just a tough loss to a team you probably shouldn't have lost to, but...
Those 2 picks from Wegman, though, definitely did not help them at all.
Yeah,
but if you look at the stats, you would think that Houston won.
Honestly, yeah. Like, I was watching the box score, and I was watching the ASU game, but I had this game on, like, the ESPN Gamecast, and I was watching the box score, and I'm like, how is West Virginia winning? And then I guess they're just dominating rushing yards. They had 246 rush yards to Houston's 82. So
okay. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No,
are you done?
I don't have to say.
Okay, yeah, my computer's at 1%. We're gonna go through Oklahoma, Tennessee extremely quick, and then we'll go through Utah, Cincinnati. That won't take very long, but holy cow, Brennan Sorsby 33% completion percentage. Oklahoma versus Tennessee. Oklahoma wins 33-26. Big win for Oklahoma, and Tennessee's out of the college football playoff. I'd be shocked if they made it, but Oklahoma, big win for Oklahoma, and they're alive. They are more than alive. If they went out, they are more than likely going to be in the CFP. They do have a very tough rest of their schedule. But yeah, John Mateer didn't play top of the tier. That was a nice rhyme. But they got the job done. And Xavier Robinson dominated on the ground, 16 carries for 115 yards and a touchdown. John Mateer, 160 yards, 19 for 29, 1 touchdown. And Joey Aguilar went kind of crazy. 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. Mike Matthews, 3 receptions, 75 yards, a touchdown. Chris Brazell didn't have a big game. He did have 6 receptions, 68 yards. And Braylon Stately, 5 receptions, 75 yards, and 2 touchdowns. You would not think that Tennessee won that game. You wouldn't. But Oklahoma dominated in the run game. Tennessee did not. And Tennessee and Oklahoma territory, 1.5 yards per play, 3 turnovers, and a strip sack touchdown. That's what lost them the game. And definitely one of those games where you would say, how did Tennessee win this game? How did Oklahoma win this game? Their defense held strong in their own territory. But honestly, yeah, it is crazy how they won that game. I would say rushing is where they had a little bit of advantage, but yeah, my computer just died. And Quinn, what do you got?
Yeah, like JT said, if you looked at the box score, you would not think that Tennessee would have won this game. In the first half, they held Oklahoma to under 100 yards. I think Tennessee had about 230. And they were losing by 6 at halftime. And ultimately, and just the reason they lost this game, as soon as they got into Oklahoma territory, they really couldn't do anything. And Joey Aguilar, he was one of the most turnover-prone. I think he was the most turnover-prone quarterback last year by a mile, and that showed. Those 2 interceptions were really costly. And what?
Wait, can you see me on my phone?
Yeah.
My bad. Sorry, what are you saying?
Okay. Those 2 interceptions were really costly, and ultimately that's just what lost them the game. I said last week for Oklahoma when we were this didn't get posted, but we did make a podcast. I said use Xavier Robinson more. You haven't been able to you haven't been able to run the ball all year. You finally found a spark in Xavier Robinson last week, and they listened to me. Not really, but they listened.
Because you didn't even upload it, but yeah, they did.
But like they did use Xavier Robinson, and he broke out. He had the best rushing game of his career, 115 yards and a touchdown. And ultimately, that's what they keep relying on John Mateer to do too much, and all of their wins is just when they run the ball well, and John Mateer plays complementary football, and that's what they did this week, and that's what got them the win. For Tennessee, this sucks for them because coming into the year, this was kind of more of a bridge year. I thought they were going to go around 8-4, 7-5, and that's probably the record they're going to end up with. But they have played way beyond my expectations. You could make a case that they could be undefeated or, honestly, 1 loss to Alabama. That game, the final score deceives you. If it wasn't for the Zabian Brown pick six, it would have been much closer. Who knows if they win that one though? If they say they make the field goal at the end against Georgia, they probably would have won that game. And then in this game, if they just took care of the ball in the red zone, they probably would have won this game. And I think that this is a better team. Hot take, this is a better team than the Tennessee team last year that made the college football playoff. But some of the things that went their way last year aren't going their way this year. So that's why they have 3 losses, and I don't think they're making the playoff.
Utah beat Cincinnati 45-14. That was not what we were expecting. I had Utah winning, but that I was not expecting them to win by 31 or whatever they did by. That sucked for Cincinnati fans because I thought they were in this, and they're not out of it, but they're gonna need some help, and they do not control their own destiny. Brennan Sorsby, his QB rating was 23.
Oof.
That's all I need to say. He was 33% completion, 200 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. They just didn't get anything done. Devon Dampier, he had a better game than Brennan Sorsby. 16 for 31, 215 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. But I think what got it done for Utah was honestly rushing because Devon Dampier had a day, 15 carries for 80 yards. Not crazy, but for a QB, that's still good. And Wayshawn Parker had 17 carries for 105 yards. A lot of they had 53 total carries on the ground, and 6 different people got the ball. 4 different guys had the ball 8 times or more. So they rushed the ball with a lot of different players. And Ryan Davis for Utah had a big game, 8 receptions, 130 yards, and a touchdown. And he had 1 big 46-yard catch. But yeah, this Utah team dominated and obliterated Cincinnati. What do I think? I don't know. This Utah team is very up and down, and I think it all revolves around their QB, Devon Dampier. If he can lead their team to victory, and if he can have a clean game, Utah's going to win the rest of their games. And they have a shot at the Big 12 title. But if he's not, then sorry. But yeah, that's crazy. Quinn, breaking news. ASU, Jeff Sims jersey, just got added to the Hall of Fame. So yeah, Quinn, what do you got?
So we wrote the stat that told the story. these are just some of them. Utah had 40 minutes. They had the ball for 40 minutes. Just saying, 40 minutes, that's usually going to win you the football game. And Cincinnati had 30 missed tackles. Usually if you have like above 15, that's bad. But 30 missed tackles, that's just atrocious. And ultimately, Devin Dampier had a good game on the ground. Wayshawn Parker had a good game on the ground. And Brendan Sorsby played the worst game of the season. 33 completion percentage, 11 for 33, 221 yards, and a lot of that came on like 2 big plays. 1 touchdown and 1 interception. And like JT said, I think he had a 23 QBR. Just not good. I don't have a ton to say, but I guess Cincinnati, they really haven't played anybody. They really haven't beaten anybody good. And they've had a soft schedule, and this was their biggest test since the Nebraska game, and Utah just came out there and out-physicaled them. I thought Cincinnati was going to win. I bought the hype. I thought that Brendan Sorsby was a legitimate Heisman candidate. Not anymore. And honestly, that's all I got to say about this. Just good win for Utah, Cincinnati. Not looking good.
Yeah. That's going to wrap it up for today. We just kind of ran through the games. Kind of a short podcast, but we want to go watch Monday Night Football because this is the last freaking night game for the Arizona Cardinals because they never have night games. And I'm very excited to see what Jacoby Brissett does for the Cardinals. Manages to get them winning in the fourth quarter and then blow the lead. But, yeah, thank you guys for watching this podcast. I'm one of your hosts, JT Hill, and that is Quinn Bewley over there. I don't know where he's going to be, so I'm pointing both sides. But
Okay.
Hopefully y'all like this podcast. Feel free to subscribe if you want to. We're on the road to 25 subscribers.
Yeah.
But, hey, our last video did good. Got 70 views. And we have not reached out to really anyone about our channel, so it's all random people who are watching, so that's what happens whenever you grow a podcast. But thank you guys for listening to this show, and hopefully y'all have a great day. Peace out. I'm JT, checking out.